Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ME Show. And today, man, it is round 2, but we're doing something a little bit different because sitting across from me is a businessman, and so am I. But the interesting thing is that we both have built our businesses in what may consider 2 completely different ways. I come from what most people would consider the traditional business world. I built companies where you create the brand, develop the product or service, find the customers, hire the people, pay the bills, manage the overhead, and when something breaks, congratulations, yeah, you own that too. So that traditional entrepreneurship is what most people think about when they hear business. And I love it, I lived it, and I've built through it. But sitting across from me today is Mike Mazer, who you've heard from in the last episode and who has taken a very different entrepreneurial path. Mike built his career as a professional network marketer with ACN. Instead of building the entire infrastructure from scratch, his model is based on leveraging an existing company, its products and services, systems and infrastructure, and then focusing heavily on something every business needs: customer and people. And that's where the conversation gets interesting because depending on who you talk to, traditional entrepreneurs look at network marketing and say, that's not a real business. And network marketers look at traditional entrepreneurs working 60, 70, sometimes 80 hours a week and say, hey, you didn't buy a business, you bought yourself a job. So who is right? Maybe both, maybe neither. That is where we're going to find out today, because I want to compare these models from the perspective of 2 people who have actually lived both of them. Let's talk startup capital. Let's talk overhead. Let's talk employees, customer acquisition, risk, profit margins, scalability, residual income, leadership, and one of my favorites, freedom. Yeah, that word that everybody wants. Because here's the uncomfortable question I think every entrepreneur eventually has to answer. Do you own your business or does your business own you? And Mike Mazer, I'll admit something before we even get started. As a traditional entrepreneur, there are things about professional network marketing I've questioned in the past. There are things that I've even been skeptical about. People that frustrated me in the profession itself. And there are things that I have learned from you and your brother, Patrick Mazer, who have made me look at entrepreneurship differently. So today, I'm not interested in doing a commercial for traditional business, and Mike Mazer isn't here to do a commercial for network marketing. I want to put both models on the table, the advantages, the disadvantages, the misconceptions, the numbers, and the realities nobody puts in the recruiting brochure or the business plan. And hopefully by the end of this conversation, whether you're thinking about starting a traditional company, exploring network marketing, or you're already an entrepreneur wondering why the heck you have not had a day off since 2017, you're going to understand both sides a little bit better today. So let's get into it. He is back like he's never left to the ME Show. An entrepreneur, a leader, a professional network marketer, a 7-figure creator, not just an earner, and ACN's Senior Vice President, Mike Mazer. Welcome back to the show, boss.
Ali, so excited to be here, man. This is so much fun. You make this so much fun. I just appreciate you so much.
I'll send that part to my mom. Say, Mama, we made it. Mike Mazer said, "I am so much fun." Let's dive right in, my man. So when you look at someone like me, right, like the label, the traditional business owner, what do you think I'm doing the hard way that I don't even realize sometimes that I'm doing the hard way?
Well, I mean, look, if you look at, traditional business versus network marketing, right? I always tell people, I feel like I'm in business fantasy land, where I didn't have to put a large investment in something. I didn't have to go out and borrow money. I didn't have to, go get an office. I didn't have to do everything you have to do. I didn't even have to incorporate. All I had to do is sign up with a company, put $299 down, and a $30 a month overhead fee, and go out and just start focusing on working. And when I look at traditional businesses, they're great. From the outside looking in, I'm sure it looks great from the outside. But man, when you're in the thick of it, or COVID's happen, or just different things change in the marketplace, you guys take it right on the chin.
Yeah.
And the other thing is you're last to get paid.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that I look at traditional business owners. And my brother and I, we've invested in businesses along the way. And you know what? It just made me appreciate what I do more with ACN every time. I re-fell in love with what I do.
I see it, I feel it, and I'm like, sometimes, as good as it sounds and as innocent, I'm like, man, I feel like there's a jab just got thrown. So let me dive, right? You look at my business and I'll look at yours, right? And I'm talking here from a traditional business to a professional network marketing business. We both call ourselves entrepreneurs, but our Tuesday mornings probably look completely different. So I got to ask, what do you think is the biggest difference between the way that a professional network marketer, let me go directly to you, versus somebody operating a traditional business on a Monday or a Tuesday morning routine? Like, what does that lifestyle look like?
Well, with what I do, because I don't have to worry about the employee, because I don't have to focus on, is this person showing up, and the overhead and the fixed cost and the liability and the accounting and the licensing and lawyers and everything that you guys do in traditional business, I can just wake up and focus on what makes me money. I don't have to worry about the rest. What makes me money is building teams and getting customers. That's it. That's the only two things I got to focus on. So I've been really spoiled in that respect. I give you an example, from the last podcast, if you watched, for the last 9 months, I was recovering from a severe accident.
Yeah.
And, 2 months in a hospital bed, meaning I didn't get out of a hospital bed. I didn't take one phone call for 9 months. I didn't do one meeting for 9 months. I didn't do anything, if I would own a traditional business, I would have had either some type of interaction I would have had to at least make sure that, the good people in place are doing what they need to do. Because of being in, ACN, my business grew without me. A bunch of independent reps. I think we put 3,000 people joined the team. I think 20,000 odd customers, and I could be wrong with those numbers, but my point is it continued without me.
That's the dream for every entrepreneur, no matter what industry that is. Let's say you and I, tomorrow we wake up and we decide we're starting all over again. I have $10,000 in my hand. You have $10,000 in your hand. I'm starting a traditional company. You're building a network marketing business. Where does my money go versus your money?
Well, first of all, I'll keep 10,000 in the bank. And
as I'm asking, I'm like, I am so setting myself up for this one, because my thing is I need another 10,000 before I even
and another 10,000 for things you don't even see.
Yeah.
But look, and this is a great question, because my brother and I, we're ACN. So we're getting involved in digital fintech banking, right? So ACN made the investment of, I don't know how many tens of millions of dollars. They're taking all the responsibility, all the liability, all that. And, all as I got to do is go out and build another team. And I just started building another team, and, I just started talking to people again.
Yeah.
Hey, do you look at other ways of making money, and showing them the program? And people say yes, people say no. And, what do I have for overhead? Maybe a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Maybe a cell phone bill, maybe my Zoom fee, my internet, And I think we've already put about 40 people in this new team in the last 30 days, 30, 45 days. In I didn't have to worry about any other part of it. And ACN reinvented themselves. And, we just go out and focus on what we focus on. I love it. For 24 years, I've done two things: showed people how to make money or show people how to save money on services they use anyways. That's it. I don't know what, it was funny. I was looking at a company and, they were using terms I never even heard of. They're like, before tax earnings. I'm like, what are you talking about? Before tax earnings? Like, I've never had to do the accounting. I never had to worry about anything in the business side. I just keep focus on what I focus on,
and to keep the main thing. There's a term called congratulating. What that means is, I think you've heard it before, right? Like, I am very happy for you. Okay. I am so excited for you because in my traditional business, like where I'm sitting right now, we started this studio specifically. We had other things, but the studio, this is our fourth year in here. And just day one, I mean, just to be like, hey, we got a business. It was $20,000 just in equipment.
Right.
That's not rent every single month. That's not the legal fees. That's not the registry. That's not the staff. That's not, the chief production officer that has to work on all the stuff behind the scene. That's not a per task, but a salary, not the chief technology officer. So when you look at it on an annual basis, you're looking at least $300,000 of spending just out, right? And to your point, that's before, as they call it, EBITDA, right? Like that's before earnings.
EBITDA.
Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. I know exactly what you meant. That's before that, right? So when it comes to that, right? Like the investment in the ROI, the question is like, which is better? Well, both can work, but you just got to know what you're getting yourself into and be okay with that journey, whatever that may be. Here's a follow-up to that. Who do you see making the fastest path to revenue and or profitability from a traditional business to network marketing?
I was profitable my first month. I was cash positive my first month.
You got to make me congratulate the whole time. Just go on.
And look, I live in what's great about our business now and with Zoom and podcasts and all the technology we have now, you can virtually live anywhere in the world and build your business. You're in New Jersey. I'm in Dallas, Texas. I live between here and in Puerto Rico. And, the place that I live in Puerto Rico is called Dorado. And Dorado, I'm probably the brokest person that lives there. A lot of people move there and sell their businesses there. And, it's funny. My neighbor just sold his business for $500 million. And, after, and that's great. And he took the risks and it was 25 years of, 2 marriages. He's going on his third marriage, alienated from his kids because he was married to his business, and he sold his business. And, after reconnecting with his family and learning how to play pickleball, he's bored. He's looking to do it again. I mean, we're all A personalities. If you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, you're an A personality. We're like a bicycle. If you're not moving forward, you're falling over. We're always creating, we're always building. And, it's funny. I sit around with these guys and we talk and, like I look at ACN like golf. I can play it till I'm 70. Now I could do it longer because of technology. I don't have to do the traveling that I used to do. I still do, but I don't have to. It's a choice.
Right.
But you always get to play the game. He had to sell, his business, something that he loved and something he cared for and built over years. And, now it's like, okay, great. And then all the people that help him build it, the relationships he's made in that business, he's passed it on to someone else. And, the first thing they did is come in and fired the C-suite, and look, I couldn't, that would be tough, just because I'm thinking, man, these people helped you build your business. Now you paid them well, but now they're going to have to go out and find themselves a new opportunity. And you've probably been to their kids' baptism, and you've probably been to, marriages and et cetera, and grown with these people. And then when you cash out, sometimes they can't cash out with you.
Mm. Yeah, I lived it many, many times. So I know exactly what you're referring to, and it sucks, to say the least.
Yeah.
Right now, someone in your phone contacts is buying a coffee. Someone else just got a notification that their monthly subscription renewed. The average person taps their card more than 30 times a month and auto-pays nearly a dozen subscriptions. These are regular habits that lead to daily and monthly spending. But what if every single one of those microtransactions paid you? Introducing Dingo Blue, a powerful financial technology platform built for the way people actually live today. Powered by the ACN direct sales infrastructure, Dingo Blue gives your network a frictionless mobile account. 16.6 trillion. That's how much money is sitting in checking and savings accounts across the United States right now. Now, imagine getting paid when your customers simply do what they're already doing every day. When they keep a balance in their savings and checking accounts, you earn every single month a small percentage of what is in those accounts. When they tap their card for groceries, you earn. When they fill up their tank, pay their bills, grab a coffee, book a trip, or shop online, you earn. Every swipe, every purchase, every month. Every transaction creates another powerful opportunity to earn income through everyday purchases people are already making. Bills, gas, online checkouts, every swipe creates another opportunity. Dingo Blue aggregates those micro percentages, building a compounding residual pipeline directly to you. You acquire the customer once. You monetize their lifestyle indefinitely. No legacy fees. Total transparency. Banking services are provided securely by our licensed FDIC-insured partner bank, giving your network institutional-grade protection. Stop funding someone else's success. Start creating your own. Tap into your pre-approved marketing toolkit, connect with your network, and launch your Dingo Blue engine now.
Let's talk about the money really nobody talks about. And what I mean is, and I think this is where traditional business, gets ugly, right? Before I make a dollar in whether it's this traditional business or any other stuff that we have going on, I could have payroll, insurance, software, equipment, marketing, rent, you name it. And in the network marketing profession, I'm curious, and I'm asking because you've seen the pinnacle of the top of the mountains of success. Where is the equivalent pain? And I'm asking because, the skepticism usually comes in from this idea that network marketing has no pain points. Once you make it, that's it. There's no issues at all. I mean, is there an equivalent to those pain points with the bigger the team, the bigger the problems?
Well, look, you're always dealing with people. So people keep it interesting. I love people. You have people that, come in and do the right thing, and you have people come in to do the wrong thing, So there is that, but with reality of pain points, I mean, it's, just keeping your life in check and growing like a human being, meaning that's my responsibility. My responsibility is to grow as a person and grow the people around me because, it's why lottery winners go broke. And it's the same thing with ACN. I've seen people come in and go from, bankruptcy to, 7 figures and, it goes to their head or they think they were the one that did it. They don't give ACN any credit. I'm like, look, I love it. We're ACN to look at as my partner. It's no different than you and I, if we were partners in business. Look, they do their role, we do our role. And it takes both in the partnership, I mean, look, when you get to the top, life is great. And the journey is great too, because the person that I am today is not the person that I started. I had to work on myself. As I said before, I made some money and I went belly up, and My whole net worth was in my front pocket, and I had to start working on myself and, putting that time in on me to attract better people, lead better people, be a better example, be a better human being, be a better husband, be a better upline friend, everything, and that's where a lot of people struggle because they just like personal growth until I got in this industry or, my parents got in the industry, it's not taught in school. We don't do personal growth, people don't normally do it. And, when they come in here when they come into network marketing and they make money fast, I've watched people go up and down just as quick.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I've seen a few, and one thing that I appreciate about what you said is a partnership with the company. Many times when my team and I reported or studied what went wrong for a network marketing company that went belly up, or what, it's either a lack of partnership between the leadership and the top leaders of the company, where one went rogue and then completely obliterated the reputation of the company, or the company just did not really do their part of that fiscal responsibility or fiduciary responsibility to make sure compliance was on point, to make sure the reputation, the books, and everything was on, and it fell apart. So that partnership is very, very important for the success of both sides, the corporate team and then, of course, the field.
Yeah.
Traditional business owners love saying, I'm my own boss. And look, I might use a curse word in here, but please let that one slide. And you'll know what I mean in a little bit. Because they realize eventually, and I've dealt with this many, many times. I'm like, I'm my own boss. I do whatever I want. And then when it comes to customers, I'm like, yes, sir. When it comes to employees, when they want to quit, I'm like, come on, please. Vendors, right, who want things, delayed. I'm like, absolutely not. You're going to destroy my business. Landlords and banks. So in your world, and this is the curse words that I'm going to use, right? In your world, who are your bosses? Because you may be like, how dare you use those words with me, Ali? Who are the bosses in the network marketing field?
I'm the boss of myself. I'm going to do what I want to do when I want to do it to a point. And what I mean by that is this. Remember, I'm partnered with the company. We got to do our business ethically, morally. We can't misrepresent the company. We can't, hey, everybody's going to get rich here. We can't say those things. We can't entice people in with, we got to be just honest and upfront with people. So is there a set of rules that we follow? Yes. And if you want to say that that's the bosses are the rules that we have to follow. But remember, the bigger point here when it comes to our industry is finding the right company with the right ownership that want to go long term.
Yeah.
That want to be around like Amway, like them or not, they have a phenomenal run. Herbalife, phenomenal.
It's $1 billion a month.
Exactly. ACN, same thing. And what I loved about the guys that own this company is they've all were in the field in other companies and they never wanted to own a network marketing company. They just wanted to start they started ACN because they couldn't find a company that met their criteria. So when I met them, I'm like, well, we're all in this together. There was like a great, fantastic. And they're in it for the long term. And, the same thing. Why would they sell? Why would they sell why would you sell an ATM? Like it's a cash producing machine that's going to keep kicking off money. Yeah. It's funny. I was in a meeting with Greg Provenzano. He's one of the 4 co-founders, an amazing human being. And I had two gentlemen, like yourself, that were extremely successful in business and extremely successful in network marketing. And the company that they were with was going out of business for whatever reason, just bad management, whatever. And they asked Greg a question and they said, why haven't you sold? Like, why have you and your partners thought about selling? Because they were going through it. That's why they were looking at us. And, he goes, what would I do? Like, this is all I know how to do. This is what I've done all my life. What am I going to start over and do real estate? What am I going to start over and do something else? He's like, this, still gets my juices flowing. And, when you hear that from your partner, that meeting was more for me than it was for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what else are we going to do?
No, I love that. And I've listened to Greg Provenzano years ago. This is back in 2009, 10, and all the way to 11. And there's very, 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 very rare moments in my career when I listen like speechless and I'm just nodding like, wow, wow. And you have him, George Zalaki is another one that I get mesmerized every time I hear. And yes, I agree wholeheartedly. Now, you may I have permission to be the devil's advocate here for a second, though.
Absolutely.
We are Christians, but it's a statement they say in America. If I, Ali Mehdaoui, I'm building ME Studios, right? I'm building my company, my brand, my asset. You're building within ACN's infrastructure. So when somebody says, well, Ali owns his company and brand, Mike Mazer, well, he doesn't own ACN. What is your answer as far as the business owner that you are?
I could sell my positions. Well, Patrick and I, we could sell our position anytime we wanted to. Now, think about how that ad would be. No overhead, no fixed costs, no liability. Here's X amount of residual coming in for X amount of years, growing at X amount of percentage a year. I mean, I can always sell my business, but, why would I?
I love, that's like I wish I had the drum sound effect, like, that was as perfect as you can get. Let's hit the elephant in the room. Somebody hears network marketing, immediately they go, oh, it's one of those things, or, the statements that surrounds it. I know the answer because I've built and I've successfully grown network marketing in over the years in my past, and kind of making a comeback like I never left. But why, from your vantage point, why does the industry of network marketing get that reputation? I'm sure I can find the same exact statements in many other professions, but I'm just curious on the context of we're talking about network marketing. Where does that criticism come from? And is it deserved criticism at times?
Well, look, I mean, we've all had bad experiences with good things, and, I think a lot of times people say it's a pyramid or it's one of those things. And I don't take that as a negative. I take that as a positive, where absolutely it's one of those things. It's one of those things you work hard for 3 years or 5 years and you get to live the rest of your life out the way you want it to. Yeah, that's one of those things, But, I believe that network marketing is great, but it's the people sometimes. Remember, for $2.99 and $30 a month, anybody can become an ACN IBO. And you get good people and you get not so good people. And, look, been doing this for 24, almost 25 years. We've had people come into our organization and do the wrong thing and mislead people and, not teach them the right way to do the business, and take from them. And that's just people. The problem is, instead of them getting that label, they give it to the industry, the label, when it's just people. It's like walking into a McDonald's and I get a hamburger that's undercooked. That don't mean all McDonald's bad. That means that person that made that burger at that specific McDonald's wasn't good.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people in that way. And then, some people come in and they give you, unrealistic expectations. Hey, listen, you do this right, you're going to make X. I tell people, look, you ask me what I make. I said, I can't calculate it because I got more customers coming in right now. So I'm making more today than I did yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make more. But remember, that's 25 years. I probably got, I don't know how many books I've read. I don't know how many tapes I've listened to. So you can tell how long I've been doing it. CDs, now podcasts I listen to, how many miles I've driven, how many, cars I've slept in because I just drove as far as I can drove and I needed to pull over and woke up the next morning and brushed my teeth alongside the road and, continued moving on. But that's what it was going to take.
I love that.
To get to where I am. And I think a lot of people sugarcoat that. And they say, well, you know what? If you just do this and you bring 3 people and they bring 3 people, 3 getting 3 times 3 equals, it's that expectation here they're straight out lying to people.
There's I forgot who said it, but a quote said, expectations usually would lead to disappointments. So be very cautious of what expectations you're setting up. And it goes back to that emotional roller coaster, right? Don't get excited about your highs. Don't get too damp about your lows. Just put the bar down and stick with it.
Right now, someone in your phone contacts is buying a coffee. Someone else just got a notification that their monthly subscription renewed. The average person taps their card more than 30 times a month and auto-pays nearly a dozen subscriptions. These are regular habits that lead to daily and monthly spending. But what if every single one of those microtransactions paid you? Introducing Dingo Blue, a powerful financial technology platform built for the way people actually live today. Powered by the ACN direct sales infrastructure, Dingo Blue gives your network a frictionless mobile account. 16.6 trillion. That's how much money is sitting in checking and savings accounts across the United States right now. Now, imagine getting paid when your customers simply do what they're already doing every day. When they keep a balance in their savings and checking accounts, you earn every single month a small percentage of what is in those accounts. When they tap their card for groceries, you earn. When they fill up their tank, pay their bills, grab a coffee, book a trip, or shop online, you earn. Every swipe, every purchase, every month. Every transaction creates another powerful opportunity to earn income through everyday purchases people are already making. Bills, gas, online checkouts, every swipe creates another opportunity. Dingo Blue aggregates those micro percentages, building a compounding residual pipeline directly to you. You acquire the customer once. You monetize their lifestyle indefinitely. No legacy fees. Total transparency. Banking services are provided securely by our licensed FDIC-insured partner bank, giving your network institutional-grade protection. Stop funding someone else's success. Start creating your own. Tap into your pre-approved marketing toolkit, connect with your network, and launch your Dingo Blue engine now.
I do have to ask, and this is a fascinating component to me, right? Like, because when I hire people, I pay them whether we are having an amazing month or a terrible month. You're developing independent business owners. How does that completely change the economics of scaling? And what I mean, there's this relationship between the people that I'm working with. Like, hey, if you don't perform, there may be a warning, there may be a written warning. Eventually, we may have to part ways because you're just hurting us more than you are helping us. You don't have that element in your day-to-day. You can't tell somebody like, hey, you are fired because you are not calling or not doing your part. So help me understand, how do you get people to do what they're supposed to do, knowing that there is no, for the lack of better words, fear of not getting paid by Friday night, for that W-2 check?
Yeah, look, I don't have a team. I have a volunteer army.
Yeah.
What I've learned over the years is when you find out why somebody's doing it, like, why are you doing ACN? Like, what do you want? Do you want $1,000 a month, $2,000? Are you looking to, go all the way, like what it is? And once I find out their why, and then I partner up with them on that, because everybody's different. Some people, an extra $500 a month, they love what they do. It just doesn't generate enough income. They want an extra $500 a month. Okay, great. Well, I'm going to coach that person a little differently than somebody that says, hey, Mike, I'd like to make 6 figures a year. Okay, great. Well, there's going to be 2 different approaches to the business. But it's funny. When Patrick and I are about our 7th year in ACN, we realized we weren't duplicating. And, I always looked at the franchising industry, and what I saw about franchising is, how does McDonald's take somebody that's never been a restaurateur, and make them a successful restaurateur. And I'm using the word restaurateur lightly. They sell burgers. They have success owning a restaurant. So we went and we bought a franchise. Now, we didn't buy the franchise to own it. We actually never opened it. We paid the $25,000 franchise fee because I wanted to go to the class.
Yeah.
I wanted to see, why can't we do the same thing here? Like, why can't, without the price tag, without the overhead, the fixed cost? And I remember we bought this, it was a Cartridge World franchise where you taught you how to refilling cartridges, whatever. And the reason we bought it because it was cheap to buy the franchise. I remember we went to, our first class. It was in Northern California. And there's probably 30 of us. You had to go to the class. And they're like, okay, how many? No, they're like, the top Cartridge World makes $250,000 a year. The bottom Cartridge World makes $10,000 a year. How many of you want to be a top franchise? Well, as you can expect, everybody's hand went up. They said, great. No vacations, no birthdays, no Christmases, nothing for the next 2 to 5 years. That's what it takes to run the business. That's what it takes to get there. So one, they're telling you the truth right out of the gate. Second thing was they never asked me my opinion. They never said, well, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that?
Here's the system. Get on with it.
You're right. This is where the picture goes. This is how you greet a customer. This is how you, refill the ink cartridge. This is how you do everything. And I was like, wow, like, why can't we do something similar in ACN? And my brother and I sat down probably about 7 years in, and that was a big turning point for us in our business. And we're like, okay, what works, what doesn't? And we just basically started a system, and we applied a system that, allowed us to be I think we've been the number 1, 2, or 3 team in the company consistently for the last 17 years.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because, we systematized it. Here's the other thing is we attracted better people. Look, a lot of people do real estate. Some people do really, really well, and some people do not so well. What's the difference? The ones that do really well have a really good system. The ones that don't do really well don't have a great system.
Yeah.
And we attracted better people into our business because they're like, okay, you guys are non-negotiable to the way you do it. You systematized it. And, that's for us was a big turning point. So we have blended the best. We took a franchise-like mentality, even though we're not, and we combined that with ACN, put those two together, and, it's allowed a lot of people to have success. But I'm still upfront with people. Like, I was sitting with some guys today, signed them up in the business. And I'm like, look, 80% of the people that do this fail. Like, that's reality. They do something a little or nothing. So, I was like, some people won't even become a customer. Some people will become a secret agent. Like, they'll never talk to anybody about it. I'm like, this is like a gym membership.
You got to work out. You can't just sign up.
Yeah. But I'm completely upfront. And then I say, look, then there's probably about 15% of people that do, a little better and, make some money, some extra money. And there's probably, a top small percentage that make the big, big bucks. Now what's the difference? It's not that they got lucky. It's they just put more effort in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to lift weight at one point and it's funny. I think I had a bench at one time of 405 pounds, boy. Now I'm talking about used to, but it's funny. People would come up to me in the gym and like, what are you taking? What are you doing? I'm like, I'm here every day. No, seriously, like, what's the secret? Okay, I'll speak slowly. I'm here every day. And it's, people say, how did you do it in the ACN? I showed up every day.
Yeah.
I showed up when I didn't want to. I showed up when I didn't have anything positive going on. Yeah. I showed up when I didn't have anything happening. And that's been the distinct difference. Here's the other thing is my brother and I lived in 12 cities over the last 15, 16 years because we would get a city up and running and, 300 people at a training, 200 people at a training, promoting people to positions, of regional vice president, which is some of our highest positions. And we'd go to another city and start over. And the reason we would, because when you have 300 people showing up on a Saturday and meetings happening day and night in a city, it's easy. You can become complacent. You start
easily get into your head.
You're right. You start teaching from a point of theory versus, look, we'd go to a new city and start over. It'd just be Patrick and I would look at each other like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
And we go out and start from nothing and go recruit and teach them how to do the basics and move them through the program. In every city we had success.
Yeah, a business partner and I, Jimmy Izell, he would be behind the scene and I would be in a travel company that we had. And I would always say, look, I don't want to be the coach. I want to be the captain. Like, you want me to coach people. I don't want to be the coach. Like, I want to be in the field. I want to be the most contributing factor to the win. I don't want to be on the sidelines, and I, we've built a company in 5 continents because of that mentality. So I totally get it. I got a question. There's this say of more money, more problems. In traditional business, I can attest to that, right? The bigger you grow, the more you scale, the more headaches that come along with it, the more consumed you are, the less you are available, the more phone calls you're getting. In your day-to-day, is there such a thing as more money, more problems?
I mean, look, money just makes you more of what you are.
Correct.
So you got to keep the personal growth going. That's reality.
Yep.
What takes people away is choices. And when you make a lot of money, you have a lot of options, good and bad, So what I've found over the years is people that stayed the course of personal growth, people that continue to have a mentor. And when you exceed the mentor, find another mentor. They're the ones that, life's great. I have great mentors and, the person that mentored me, Patrick and I, we out earned them. So we went to another mentor and now we got the owners of the company that graciously mentor us. Yeah. And, look, until you're good at being coached, you'll never be a great coach. We get on the phone with the owners, literally on a monthly basis. And, what do we do? Looking from your perspective to ours, what would you do different? I'll tell you anything personally. Great. Do this, do that. Okay, great. It's that perspective that the mentor gives, which a lot of people, they get so big that they think it's them. Look, this isn't me. I have a lot of amazing people that went out and built businesses for themselves. And I just get a little piece. I just get the privilege of overriding it.
I love that. I do have to go back. I know we talked slightly last episode on freedom and what it means to you, but let's talk about freedom in the network marketing world, assuming you do it the proper way, and I appreciate that you set up the right expectations, a few different opportunities. You're like, look, there are a lot of people who are going to come in and they're going to do it the wrong way. They may even mislead people. They may even do the wrong things, but at the same exact time, you've mentioned a couple of times, hey, 2 to 5 years, if you do it the right way. You stated, you show up every single day, whether you were positive, negative, having a good day, bad, that you still showed up those are things that I believe make a difference for somebody to do the right things in network marketing. Sometimes you got 30 days to make $10,000. All you got to do is refer 3 people who refer 3 people who refer 3 people. And you and I both know there is a little bit more to that to find the right 3 people who refer the right 3 people and so on and so forth. But I genuinely appreciate that. And just fun fact, you might not remember this. 2011, it was a dinner. Me, you, and a few individuals in Lakewood, New Jersey. And I pulled you aside and I was like, hey, like, here's the thing. I want to know. And you said, look, the reality is 80% of the people don't stick it out because X, Y, and Z. And, the goals that you want, here's you for the first time after almost a year and a half, 2 years that I was in the journey with that team, And for the first time, I heard somebody who told me factually what it actually would take. And number one, I was upset at the team that I was with. Like, why didn't you tell me from the beginning? My attitude would have been different. But at the same exact time, it led me to ridiculous amount of success in other opportunities before our lives kind of came back together to where we are. So, I'm grateful for you saying it the way you did. But as we're coming towards the end, talk to me about freedom that network marketing can create that traditional business might struggle to create.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for that. And it's, dude, you are an extremely talented person. Most people don't make it a year in network marketing, and you did with bad advice and bad expectations. And that's why they didn't deserve to override you today. Period.
Yeah.
Because, look, if you truth will set you free. Tell me the truth. Okay, if 2% make it, well, heck, that was better than the car business. You know what I mean? Like
better than insurance, better than real estate. I can go on and on.
Absolutely.
Better than the NFL, the NBA, better than NASA.
And look, what the years that I've given up, I told my parents, look, Christmas and dinner and weddings and, that I missed, but I would have not, but you know what? It was funny. If I'd played professional football, the family wouldn't have questioned it, and all the years, I mean, think about it, all the years that you practice and make nothing to have the little bit of shot to go professionally. And then you got to go compete, with network marketing. The benefit is you get all that back. Like I've spent, this week I probably worked on my business, and I'd say I'm always working, but I retire into my business. What do I mean by that? Is I eat first class, I fly first class, I stay first class, and I meet some great people. And when I meet them, I'm always talking about the people that helped me. I what I call is feeding my lions, where, look, you need to meet this guy, Jeff Street. Jeff Street owned a cell phone company, and, he came into this business and just exploded it. And man, I'd love to introduce you to. So I'm always doing it, but I'm just, I'm a professional socializer, and then, if you truly like people, there's not a better business out there. Because you have to help people succeed. And I think the longest distance we all travel is from our head to our heart. When it's about somebody else, when you're putting somebody else first. Like what's my goal? My goal is for you to make more than me. My goal is to become nameless. What do I mean? Oh, you're the guy that overrides Allie. Just become nameless. And I can't think of any other industry where they're like, look, I want you to exceed me. I want you to do better than me. I want you to do it quicker than me. I want you to do it faster than me. I don't think that exists.
Yeah.
Corporate America doesn't exist.
I think this is so to give you some context. So today, my wife and I, we were like, we need to have all the carpet shampooed, and we had just a little rug. I'm like, well, look, we got the Kirby vacuum. You may not know the Kirby vacuum. It's like
absolutely
$1,300 machines, right? And then I was like, we ran out of shampoo. I know where the office is because when I was 19 years old, I sold Kirby vacuums for the first time that I got into sales. I sold 13 machines in my first month, and then I quit because I was told the compensation, and then they did not pay me. But needless to say, so I called a phone number, and then, somebody answers. I'm like, hey, I'm here at the office, South Street, and I'm trying to get shampoo, but it looks like the building is empty. He's like, yeah, actually, we sold that building 2 years ago. I'm like, wow, that's insane. And I'm like, out of curiosity, is this Dennis? He was like, speaking, yeah. I'm like, well, Dennis, let me just say, you've impacted my career and my life. When I was 19 years old, I worked for you. It goes like, did I upset you? I was like, why would you ask such a question? He goes like, because we were just growing and we didn't know what we didn't know. And sometimes we've made a lot of mistakes. And if you're telling me that long ago, I probably upset you that you're not with me in the business till today. I was like, well, it doesn't matter what happened. All I can tell you, my love for building a business and selling and providing a solution for a problem was from back then. So much so that I remembered the address that I drove all the way down here, and I was looking forward to shake your hand. So needless to say, it's a beautiful thing if you can figure it out and do it the right way. I appreciate what you said as far as, maybe they didn't deserve to override you because they didn't do the right thing. And I think life works that way and in mysterious ways. But here's the reality, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are listening. Mike, obviously, I appreciate you coming back in here. And I think today's conversation brought us somewhere very important. And because when we started, the question was traditional business or professional network marketing, and which one is better. But after sitting here and breaking this down, I don't know that better is even the right question. Maybe the better question is, what are you trying to build? Because I've spent my career in traditional business. I've hired people. I've built brands. I've dealt with payroll, overhead, customers, marketing, operations, and all those wonderful surprises that somehow only open, when I open the mailbox. Mike took a different route. He built through professional network marketing, leveraging an established company's infrastructure while developing customers, teams, and ultimately leaders. Different vehicles, different economics, different challenges, but we've both have been chasing some of the same things: growth, impact, financial independence, and maybe most importantly, freedom. That thing called freedom. And I hope today's conversation also made you realize something, that there is no magic in a business model. There's no magic pill. Traditional entrepreneurship isn't easy. Network marketing isn't easy. Building anything meaningful requires discipline, consistency, relationships, leadership, and willingness to keep going when the excitements wear off. But here is where it gets really interesting. This conversation isn't ending today. Mike Mazer and I are continuing this as we're putting together a series of events, virtual and in person, where we're going to take these conversations beyond the podcast. We're going deeper into business, entrepreneurship, leadership, personal development, building income, creating leverage, and understanding the opportunities that are available to entrepreneurs in today's economy in multifaceted products and services as well. And we're giving you an opportunity to join us for free. Free. I don't usually use the F word, but I said it, free. So here's all you have to do. Comment the word event. That's it. EVENT. Comment event, and we'll get you the information that you need to get free access to our up-and-coming events with Mr. Mazer and yours truly. No matter which side of today's conversation you identify with, the traditional entrepreneur, the network marketer, or maybe you're sitting there saying, Ali, I don't know what the heck I am, but that's okay. Because come out. Let's get you educated. Ask questions. Even challenge us sometimes with your own thinking about what business should look like. Because sometimes you don't discover the right opportunity by having all the answers. You discover it by getting into the right room and asking better questions. Mike, I just want to thank you again for coming back to the ME Show, and everybody that is watching. If this conversation gave you something to think about, like the information you heard, like the episode, subscribe, share it with another entrepreneur, and don't forget, comment event for your free access to our next event. I'm Ali Mehdaoui. He goes by Mike Mazer. This is the ME Show, and until next time, whatever vehicle that you choose, build something that is worth building, because I will be found in the ACN meeting. Mr. Mazer, I'll see you in the next event.
Absolutely. See you, brother. Appreciate you.
Still marketing your business like it's the Yellow Pages era? Welcome to ME Studios, where local solopreneurs and small business owners catch up with the digital world and take over it. We help you go from invisible to undeniable, featured on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. Plus, gain press exposure in over 100 to 300 major media outlets like Fox, ABC, CBS, NBC, and the CW. Right here in Eatontown, New Jersey, just steps away from the soon-to-be Netflix studios, our multi-unit facility is built for creators, entrepreneurs, and visionaries. Stop marketing like it's 1995. Start building your digital authority today with a team that gets it.